Good morning and welcome back. In this session of our lessons in patent drafting, let me share how the patent claim is structured in the way our patent examiners at the IPO field want it to be structured. This presentation will focus on the important rules that you need to follow when you are writing your patent claim. We will identify the three main sections of the claims, how it is structured, how the punctuations are used, some grammatical rules, and ways to review your patent claim. This tutorial, may I emphasize, is focused mainly on the construction of the claim or claims, the aspect of whether or not the product which is subject of your patent application is patentable or not will not be tackled in this lesson. And so we have to agree on the following assumptions before we go further in this tutorial. Thus, a preliminary patent search activity has been made to make sure that the claim for the invention pass or will pass the requirement, at least in your own evaluation. An invention spotting has already been made so that claim for the invention will have lower risk of infringement as you will be focusing on the elements of your invention that are new. Starting with what is a patent claim? A claim, as patent practitioners often define it, is the metes and bounds of the invention. A similar document which almost has the same value of the claim is the transfer certificate of title, which we commonly call this as the land title of a real estate property that someone has bought. If you are familiar with this document, you will notice that it contains a narrative of the description or descriptions of the property which is acquired by the owner upon purchase of the land. The location, the sizes, and even the proximate properties surrounding the lot is clearly described in words. And let me emphasize in words within this document. The TCT is so exactly narrated that when, say, you hire two or more draftsmen to interpret the document and to plot it into a final drawing, all the drawings that were rendered by different draftsmen will be similar and with full accuracy in its presentation. In the same manner, the claim that you will draft should reflect the boundaries of the invention that you claim as your own. That during the examination and even during prosecution, upon reading your claim, one can picture out what your invention is. And so along the way, you will learn that the claim and the patent drawing should be consistent and connected. So the claim determines the scope and boundaries of your ownership and at the same time your protection. Thus, we call it the claim. Now, why do you need to learn how to draft your own claim? Very obvious. Patent lawyer's assistance is practically expensive. It's all about being able to file a patent application every time you think of a new invention. Take note that it's not that all your application will be granted. Granted or not, you have to pay what is due to a lawyer. And even if you ask assistance from lawyers, it is an advantage if you also know what the patent lawyer is doing on your application. So if you have decided, let's move on. We are now talking about claim, although after this we still have other sections to draft, which are way much easier compared to the way claim is drafted. There are four sections in the patent document that we need to prepare. Namely, we have the abstract, we have the specifications, the drawings, and this we are talking now about the claim. Other documents include application forms, that is downloadable from the IPO site. And if you are a patent agent or if you are hiring a patent agent, there is a need also to execute a special power of attorney. But don't bother at this moment. I will cover all those things later. The patent document is organized in the order as shown in the screen. But in my practice, allow me to share how the workflow goes. And believe me, this will make your drafting much easy. I actually do the claim writing almost simultaneously while drawing or sketching the product, keeping my emphasis on the elements that the inventor is claiming as his novel idea or even his inventive idea. This way, I can do away from overthinking. Take note that in claiming, you are protecting what is only your own. Other elements, especially those that are already existing in the prior arts, will only be included in your drafting so that you can explicitly include the industrial application of your invention. The description section should cover what has been claimed and therefore can be done later. Here, you can exhaust all that you can disclose about your invention. You can put details and even possible improvements of your product. Your disclosure here may include the manner of making your product and the manner of using your product as well. And the abstract comes much later because this is the section that is considered as the brief summary of your invention. I tackled all these in details in my ebook, but future videos will cover all this as well. Now let's tackle the sections of a claim. The claim is divided into three sections: the preamble, the transitional phrase, and the body. The preamble is an introductory phrase that identifies the category of the invention being protected in a claim. An example of this phrase is an apparatus, and you may fill the blank with some description like an apparatus for threshing rice and similar crops. Phrases such as a machine, a device, and so on and so forth. Next is the transitional phrase. The transitional phrase connects the preamble with the body. The most common and safest phrase for this is the word comprising. The body is that part which recites the scope of the claim, what you own as novel or new in the invention. This recites the elements of your invention and how they connect with each other. Now let's take a look at various alternative examples which we can use for each of these sections, particularly on the preambles and the transitional phrases. Again, for the preamble, you may pick from one of these: an apparatus for, a machine for, a method of making, a device, then fill the blank. Or simply introduce a specific description for your product. Example, an improvement on a shovel comprising. Another one is a thresher drum of an improved rice thresher comprising. The transitional phrases are categorized into three. Comprising is an open-type transitional phrase that suggests including the following elements but not limited to. In other words, even if you present basic parts of your elements of your invention in the claim, you will not be limited to those in terms of protection. Doing so prevents future infringers from inventing around your invention. Now, consisting essentially of is a partially open type transitional phrase, and the support for that should be explicit in the specifications section of your patent application document. Now avoid this third one, consisting of. It is categorized as a closed type, which suggests that the elements introduced in the claim are exactly as it is, no more, no less. This is usually adapted when claiming for chemical composition. It must be used with care. But if you are sure of what you are doing in the chemical field, this will also provide excellent protection from invent around strategies of other inventors. So for the meantime, stick to the phrase comprising. The following slides will tackle important points on the drafting or writing of the body of the claim. So let's move on to it. In this slide, I want you to examine the three sections of the claim in a completely drafted claim. So here you can see the preamble, then followed by the transitional phrase, and the rest of these sections is the body, which recites the claim elements. Now here, examine how the indefinite article a and n, the definite articles or the determiners the and said, and even the conjunction and should never be underestimated when it comes to their value in claim drafting. Now, when it is the first time of an element to appear in the whole claim, even in a preamble, use the indefinite articles a or an before that element. For example, a self-propelled vehicle, a body carriage, an engine, and you have there the a means to coupling. Now here, the determiner said is used because it is the second time that the element engine was mentioned in this particular claim. Very simple rule, isn't it? And lastly, when you're about to recite the last element of the invention in a particular claim, do not forget to write the conjunction and before reciting that last element. Got it? Good. Now let's go to the use of punctuations. The punctuations used in the claim drafting are the comma, the colon, the semicolon, and the period. Mind you, if you miss the period at the end of the claim, that alone will be a ground for non-compliance, and consequently, you will receive an office action from the IPO regarding this. Okay, going back. So we use a comma after the preamble. Also, we use a comma to add further definition to a stated element. Like here in the line where we write said engine to at least one of said wheels, comma, whereby, okay? Then place a colon after stating the transitional phrase, comprising. And then the semicolon should be placed after stating the whole description of your element. So semicolon separates an element from another element. And then at the end of the claim, again, place a period. A single claim is also a single sentence. It starts with a capital letter and ends with a period. Also, take note that a claim should be numbered in ascending order. For instance, we have claim 1, claim 2, claim 3, and so on and so forth. Moving on further, remember that the body of the claim should not merely list or enumerate the parts or the elements. Always find ways to describe how each element is connected to the previously mentioned elements. In this example, we have a claim that reads, I claim A writing instrument comprising an elongated casing, an elongated core element, and an eraser. Period. This claim will be rejected because it merely enumerates the elements without providing any description whatsoever on how they relate with each other. This is also called cataloging of parts. Now, that can be improved by writing it this way instead. A writing instrument comprising an elongated casing, an elongated core element disposed within said elongated casing, and an eraser attached to one distal end of said elongated casing. Period. And with that, it is clear that we are referring to a pencil. This one has more clarity and is more likely to pass the formality examination. The independent and dependent claims. What's the difference? The independent claim is also called a main claim. It is a claim that can stand alone. That is, it does not refer back to any previously written claim or claims. The examples we just had are examples of independent claims. The dependent claim, on the other hand, refers back to any one of the previously written claims, which further provides further or specific limitations to the previous claims written. We have an example here. Claim 2, the apparatus according to Claim 1, wherein said claim, apparatus 2, is referring back to Claim 1 as indicated by the term according to. In the independent claim, attempt the broadest sensible claim in writing. This is made possible if the patentability search was conducted well before the drafting of the claims of the invention. In the dependent claim, the dependent claim should contain the fallback feature or claims of the invention, which during the prosecution, if the independent claim will be rejected by the examiner due to possible infringement of an existing invention, those fallback feature can be elevated to its independent claim. See example on the next slide. Now, assuming that your prior art is a typical table and you are attempting to patent an improvement, and that is a table with foldable legs, and your set of claims read Claim 1, a support structure comprising a holding member for holding articles, and a plurality of support members extending downwardly from said holding members. Claim 2, the support structure according to Claim 1, wherein said plurality of support members being defined by two pairs of foldable legs, each being defined by a coupled elongates extending downwardly from said holding member and pivotally attached thereto. After a while, you receive an office action from an examiner telling you that your Claim 1 is not novel, with reference to the prior art typical table. Why not novel? Because everything you claimed in Claim 1, the holding member and the support structures already exist in the prior art table, the tabletop and the legs respectively. And since your claim is rejected, or your Claim 1 is rejected, it follows that Claim 2 is also rejected because it is referring back to its mother claim, the Claim 1. Knowing the rules, you will amend your claim and it will look like this. Here, your novel feature the foldable legs, and which in the original claim was found in Claim 2 is now elevated to be included in Claim 1, which makes Claim 1 novel. The dependent claim now becomes part of the main claim. Now let us move on to one practice that I found to be one of the effective ways to avoid clarity issues in the application. Inserting reference numerals in a claim is not required, but is allowed, and I find it useful to write the reference numerals as I go through with writing the claim. The detailed description, though, is a section in the patent application that is required to indicate the reference numerals in reciting each element of the invention. Since one of my technique and my suggestion is to copy the claim and paste it in the description section before doing the elaborate disclosure, this strategy helps. There are things that we should take note. The reference numerals should follow right after the name of the element. The numerals must be in parentheses. On the drawing, the reference numerals that refers to the whole assembly is provided with an arrowhead and should be pointing to the assembly it is referring to and does not touch any element, while the leader line that refers to an element is without arrowhead and must touch the element it is referring to in the drawing. Oh, by the way, in the drawings, the reference numerals should be without parentheses. Now let's go to naming of elements and describing relationships in a claim. Again, naming of elements. The patent law allows that an inventor can invent names for the elements of his invention. In this example of a table, or even structures which closely relate to the structure of a table or its function, we can apply this naming of elements. For the leg, for instance, we can use names such as one of what is presented here. A leg can be a vertical support, it can be a protrusion, or can be an elongated member. Just keep in mind that the names are technically valid in the field where your invention belongs. In describing relationships, as required to avoid mere enumeration of parts, try to look for phrases that will describe how your elements relate to the other elements. How the legs are related to the tabletop may be described as fixedly attached to, extending downwardly from, or disposed underneath said. To master the skill, read patent documents that are related to your invention. There are vast resources. I am both a teacher and a student for a long time now. And yes, experience is the best teacher. Always test the waters. I prepared templates for you to follow in drafting your claim. Here is a template for mechanical claim drafting, and here is for a method claim. After drafting your claim, you can refer to this guide to review your work. Please do read the simple points. It will really help you clean up your claim drafting output. See you on more patent filing advices we have prepared for you. Please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Click the bell if you would, and please share our channel.